This is a pretty shitty paint job. So you can see there was little to no, I'd say, clear coat on it. You can see there's crazing in here. Maybe the bike was outside for a long time.
If the previous owner of this bike is watching, we think you did a shit job.
But we shouldn't say too much of that because this is our first time to paint the tank. And I've got a feeling there's some dents here as well, if you guys can see that. I've got a feeling that we're going to do a pretty bad job too.
With any luck.
No, we're going to do our best to make it look nice. Just so the folks at home know, what we're planning on doing here is we're going to fill this here and we're going to sand it and we're going to actually spray it all solid, and then we're going to make up a name for the bike, and we'll actually get a decal and we'll put it on here before we clear coat.
If you have any ideas of what the bike should be named, drop it in the comments below.
Keep it PG. Keep it YouTube friendly, please. Two drunk idiots with a budget build. That's a mouthful. It's too wordy.
It's too wordy.
If you guys can see here, there's like a blue color underneath, and it looks like somebody just kind of rattle can sprayed this. And maybe they put a clear coat on it, but like not many layers of clear coat. Probably not a very good clear coat. The paint underneath was cracking. That's why a lot of this red paint here was all cracked. So I think the best thing to do is, because that paint could lift in time, so I think the best thing to do is kind of get as much of that out there, sand it down to the blue if possible. A little bit of an update on where we are. We're sanding and sanding this. You know, there's some of the red paint on top that's just cracking and crazing. Then there's a blue paint underneath that's cracking and crazing as well. And even just hitting it with wax and grease remover, it's just smudging it and melting it. So I don't know whether it was just a crappy blue paint that was put on. Then there's a cream color underneath it, and then there's a primer underneath that. So the cream color seems to hold up well. That blue is just smudging off. I think that's why somebody just hand bombed that blue with this maroon color. Long story short, we just have to try and strip as much of that crap off, because we don't want that starting to come up or come away or starting to peel when we have our nice paint down. So at the moment we've used a little bit of paint stripper and we're just trying to remove that off so that we can sand it down nicely, get some primer on it, move on to the next step. Got a paint stripper on there. It's starting to look like a tie-dye t-shirt more than it is a gas tank. Oh, this is looking cool. Look at this, Dan. This looks like a paint job someone would put on a Harley. Look.
That's pretty epic.
All we need is clear coat on this. So it's funny, Dan and I were just talking about this, but a coat of primer really helps to really kind of accentuate, you know, some of the spots that need some TLC. You can see there. So we're going to have to sand this down here and then figure out what we need to do.
All right, let me read these directions to you. Place desired amounts of filler on clean, non-fibrous mixing board. Add ribbon of cream hardener from edge to edge across center of 4 inches diameter puddle of filler. Mix thoroughly until uniform color is achieved. Well, there's some interesting specificity. We poured the resin that we think that we're going to need. We poured the hardener that we think that we're going to need. It's been about 5 minutes now, so I think that we're going to have the right texture of product to use.
Solid.
Do you think I used too much hardener?
It's like a hockey puck. So we've sanded this down, and there's some low points here we got to fill up. There's a few little gouges here we're gonna have to fill, but it's getting closer. Like, even as I was kind of sanding that there, it was actually feeling real nice in certain parts. So it's kind of, I don't know what you'd say, Dan, it's kind of rewarding when it starts, even bits start getting like the way it should. But even though there's some, you know, some TLC we're gonna have to give here and there, but we're getting there. One thing that really bugs me, and I see it on some bikes, and I always wonder why people do it. They don't fill this at all, but they take the emblem off. This bike, if you will recall, never had the emblems on here. So, you know, I think they're about $100 or something to buy a set, like, or 50. And like, you know, we wanted to put on the name on the side here anyway. So, but we filled them and we're going to paint them over. But I often wonder why people don't fill them.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is. That's fair enough. As I sit here sweating my pants off, like, you know, I'm like, I wonder why they don't do it. I was just talking to the camera there and it wasn't even recording, so maybe you guys have missed, like, I don't know, 3 episodes because we never hit record. What you just saw there was actually in real time. I didn't speed that up. That was real time. Dan was going that fast.
Yeah, so we don't use water to help with the sanding process and cutting the paint or anything. The water's there strictly to keep everything from overheating and catching on fire.
There was smoke coming out of his hand at one stage. He has a very strong arm, right arm. I don't know why, but he just does. Alright, I don't know if you guys can see here, but Dan and I just chatted a little bit on it. There's a few areas, for the most part, it's looking absolutely excellent. But here and there, here and there, and so on. Here, I don't know if you guys can see this as well. And here we're seeing like a little bit of banding. We are going to hit it once more tonight with some self-leveling or filler primer. We're going to let it cure. Next week we're going to give it a little bit of a sand just in those areas that we've seen those or noticed those things, and then we're going to fill it with a really fine layer of bondo, and hopefully the next week sand that bondo down and prime it once more, and hopefully at that stage it'll be golden. But we're kind of thinking we've gotten a huge amount of imperfections already out of this thing. I think if we go a little bit further, we can have a really high-end finish, and at the end of it be like, what did it take? Just time, right? You know, it's just an extra can or two of filler to help us find these highs and lows, a little bit of bondo that we dug out. And other than that, from what we can read online, this is the first time that we've done this, preparation is key to having this done. So let's try it.
Apply the required amount of body filler to a clean mixing surface. Do not use discarded cardboard as a mixing surface.
Check.
The correct hardener to filler ratio is a 3-inch diameter circle of 1/2 inch thick of filler to a 3-inch strip of cream hardener, or a golf ball size amounts of filler. It's like they'll use anything to measure except the metric system.
You can use a 1/2 a horse's hoof amount.
The real reason we haven't made any progress on the bike is that I've been ranting about the metric system. Is that 1 golf ball?
Yeah, I could.
Hold on, it needs to be a 1/2 inch thick and 3 inches in diameter.
Right, okay, we get the point. You don't like how they give instruction. so we're getting really close on the tank here. We've given it, lots of priming, filling, sanding, priming, filling, trying to find high points, low points, getting out any kind of little divots, rough areas. The tank was really rough, and it's our first time doing this, so definitely a learning curve. What do you reckon, Dan?
Yup, absolutely. And the most frustrating thing after everything that we've done, found a little divot. We need to fill that.
Real bit of filler.
That's one of those things. You need to put all the work in to get it all one color, get it sanded, get it cleaned, and so you could see with where the shadows are landing and things like that, little imperfections that you wouldn't be able to see otherwise, in theory. Or we're just blind.
Alright, so we've made some really good headway here. We've got our tank all prepped and ready to rock and roll. So we'll let this dry, and next week we will get stuck into painting it. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. This has taken a lot of weeks for us to prep this. It's just what it is when it's painting and priming. We only meet once a week, so it makes it a little bit tricky. But I hope you guys have enjoyed. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. It really helps out the channel. And we'll see you next week where we'll paint this tank.